Hi, I'm Nilesh Agarwal, and today I'm going to give you a short lecture on how to move from being a good to a great programmer. So, we all like building apps and programming stuff, but is that there is all to the coding? So, how do you become from being a software developer to being an architect? So when I say architect, an architect is someone who knows about code quality, design, and can make scalable systems. So me working in Amazon and Microsoft, I've come across people who were more than 10 years of who had more than 10 years of experience and were still at a developer level, while some people within even 5 to 8 years became architects. So what did the people who became architects did right? First is always keep learning. The people who are always growing are the people who always keep learning new things. So you should always make it a habit to go and read tech blogs. So all these companies like Amazon, Uber, and Google, they publish blogs upon whatever they do in their engineering team. And you read from these engineering blogs and try to see if some of their solution fits the problem you are solving at the hand, right? And also to become great, you need to set the right set of habits. Habits are very important to create in the early course of time, because it's very hard to change the habits. So a habit could be a simple thing as, when do you ship your code? Do you ship it when it works, or when you ship it when you know that there's no other edge case which is left? So once you make this a habit of always thinking about all the edge cases before you ship a code, then uh, a, it becomes something that you can use throughout your lifetime to basically uh, improve yourself. Also, one of the very good early feedbacks that I got in my career early was, have a different definition of done. So usually when the piece of code gets working, usually most of the developers call that they're done with the task. But no, you should have your own definition of done. When it works is only step one of getting it done. You should ideally iterate over the code, think about time complexities, how you can make the code better. Is there anything which you are doing is redundant? And then at the end, also write test cases and see how the code quality coverage is going. Once you make this as a definition of done, you'll always be able to see that your code is much more richer and of high quality. Another advice I can give to you is always read lots of code. Most of the mistake that the programmers do is that they only just Google and see the parts of code which they need to write. So you always go to Stack Overflow, pick a piece of code and just get working with it. Uh, don't do that. Always go to open source libraries, see the implementation part of it. Always try to read a lot of open source projects. I would say always go through one open source project a month, and then try to see what are the patterns that they are following, what are the design patterns, what are the don't do's in their code which are avoided, and always try to design your code like an open source library. Fourth is always make a lot of projects. When you come across your day-to-day development tasks, you're always making things which are confined, have a fixed input and output. But when you make a lot of hobby projects, like making a ride-sharing app for yourself or making some hobby project, you learn a lot more about the undefined problems. So in real world application building, there are a un uh, lot of abstract problems which are not defined in how they should be done. They can be done in multiple ways, and it's your job to find the right way to do it. So once you solve these problems, what you come across is you basically, it forces you to think and figure out things on your own, which is a very important skill that you need to have to be an architect. So also one other suggestion is that you should never make a project by yourself. Always work with programmers. Each of your friends have skill sets which are different from you, and some of those skills may help you. Some of those you can acquire from your peer programmer. So always work with in teams and try to learn from your colleague or your fellow programmer. Also, always when you're making a coding task or doing something, always think about the high level technique that you are using to solve that task. So whenever you're doing programming, it's just not about learning language or making a thing work. So because languages and libraries change, while as techniques to solve a problem, the algorithm, that always stays. So always try to learn about the architecture of that problem, design, and what are the code quality that you need to follow to make it work. So, with this all said, I would leave you on the thought that to become a great architect, what you need to do is solve a lot of projects, make a lot of projects by yourself, think of some app which you can do. Always try to get as many as feedback from your developers as possible. Always think about code quality, system architecture, scalability when you are designing a piece of app. Uh, with this said, we are working on a platform which allows people to practice code, and not just algorithmic and data structure code, but also applications. So we'll be sending out a link which can give you the early access of the platform. So you can just sign up in the Google form, and we'll send you instructions of how to basically practice application level coding. Thank you.